What up, y'all? It's George Zilla, Terrence G, and I'm Trent Lavelle Wainwright, and this is Food and Laughter. Tonight's food, we got it from Lansky's, man. We got the chicken Alfredo, we got the pepperoni calzone, and the cookies disappeared. But it's okay, because we don't really need them anyway. But tonight's guest, he runs a mainstay at Third Base Bar and Grill. He has a show there. Been running it for 3 years. I just heard him say that, so I'm gonna take that right now from it. And it was Wednesdays, but now it's moved to Saturdays. I call him the king of Council Bluffs. Give it up to Don Seeger.
Yes.
I'll clap for myself.
You should, as you should. If you don't, nobody else will, man.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how'd you start off with the show at Third Base Bar and Grill? Did they come to you? Did you go to them? What happened?
It started off as a one-off for a comic who's not here anymore. She had family that was their bar, and so they wanted to put together like a going-away show for her. She was moving to New York and all this other stuff. So I was actually a last-minute ad. The headliner, whoever they had headlining, couldn't do it, so they threw me onto it because I'm right down the street, like literally right down the street. And I was like, yeah, cool. They gave me like a week heads up or whatever, and I went in there, and it used to be Shenanigans Bar and Grill is what it was, and that place was god awful. It was just the worst place in Council Bluffs.
There were no real shenanigans going on.
Yeah, it was dirty.
The name fit the bar.
What?
The name fit the bar.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was dirty. It smelled like stale beer and all that stuff. And then I walk in, and it's like completely revamped. It's like a small little sports bar grill. It was nice, packed out house. So we had the show, and then the owner was talking to me and one of their other comics, and he was just like, I would like to have he wanted a weekly show. And I was like, no, you can't. There ain't enough people in Omaha to do a weekly show. No. And then, so then we did monthly, and me and the other guy, we ran opposite months. And then COVID happened, and then he kind of just faded away.
Third Base in Omaha or Council Bluffs?
What?
It's Third Base in Omaha or
Council Bluffs? Yeah. 8th Street in Council Bluffs, just right over the viaduct. Yeah, we've been running great ever since, and then we're just moving to Saturdays because we've been packing out on Wednesdays, and
it's a great room, man. It's tiny, but it's a great room. The audience, the one time I was there, the audience was there for comedy, which is always indicative of the venue and the people that do that. And then it was just a great fun show, man. So when it comes to like how you pick, especially because you got a smaller pool, man, how do you start combing through people? As he's got a full mouth.
Don't look at me, man. I was about to eat too.
Are you talking about for comics wise?
Yeah,
to get them in there?
For comics, like, are you like, okay, I need to vet you up personally?
For the most part, if it's someone around here, I've probably seen them. So like if someone's good, I'll generally ask. If they ask, I'll say, hey, like I think you asked me just because I hadn't seen you out and around, but you asked me, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely get you on a show. Yeah. I've had Lebetti on shows, stuff like that. And yeah, I have people that'll message in from out of state. That it depends on how they act on Messenger, whether I'm gonna let them on my stage or not. Like we're a small venue, budget is limited. Like we do all right, but we're not dropping $1,000 to have someone come in or anything like that. So if they're respectful, they send a video. Hey. They're not trying to like demand a day or anything like that, then yeah, it's generally like, yeah, let's get you into the bar, let's see how you do. Like Council Bluffs is a little different than Omaha, little
or showcases, open mics.
No, we will never do an open mic at that bar. He wanted an open mic to start, and I was like, no, you don't want, that'll drive business away.
Yeah.
If it's for an open mic, you really got to have like a separate room from the bar. Yeah. You know what I mean? So people can choose to go in there, and they can choose to, no, I'm going to stay in the bar and ignore what's going on in there.
So basically, y'all doing shows then?
Showcase, yeah.
So how many y'all do? Like y'all do it weekly, monthly?
Monthly. We do it last Saturday of the month now.
Okay, that's cool.
So
you got a real perspective there. That's funny that you would say that they wanted an open mic, but I said they'll drive business away.
Yeah.
That's so true, right? Because at open mics, people are like, oh, I'm coming, I want to see the funny.
Right.
That's probably not the place for funny. Like open mics are rarely that funny. So yeah, it's an interesting perspective.
Well, and the point of a show is to make money for the bar,
right.
Not to make money for the comics. Even though comics should get paid, they should be making money, but it's not like, oh man, I had my biggest payday here in a a bar that can hold 50 people. Like, no, that's not how that works. Like, the bar's got to make money, you got to make money, so that way everybody's happy. If one's making all the money, no one else is, like, if I'm paying comics real good, they're making a lot of money, well, then the bar ain't making money.
Right.
So what's the point of having a show if the bar ain't making
I know
money?
I made a mistake a couple of years. I said open mic instead of showcase because I know there is a difference.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, but no, now, and like you said, with shows, people are paid to see a show. Open mics, it's open mic. So,
well, even a free show, like my show is free to go to. We will advertise like $5. It's for people who are not regular to the bar, so that we know they're coming and we can hold a chair for them. So like we that's how we run it. But if you're a local, like you just walk in like, hey, yeah, we're doing comedy, come on in, sit down. Like the bar pays for the show. We put out a little tip bucket that helps quite a bit. But the bar is paying for the show. Like they're paying for the entertainment, which is, I like doing that because then I have a budget to work with, so I don't have to.
Right.
I hate door deals. I understand why they work, but I'd rather be able to tell someone you're going to make this amount of money minimum
For sure.
to come and do this show.
Right.
Not like, oh, we had a good month last month, but we don't know.
I only got $5 at the cover today. So
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's how I did it when I was running shows, not doing it from Gate 10. The feature headliner, so I did it as a showcase, but it was also for people to showcase their talent. So if they wanted to come up, showcase their talent, go for it. But at the end of the show, there was always a headliner, the show. So I always fixed my budget, of course, I'm the dudes, I'm make sure I get paid, but I made sure that the headliner
Got paid,
and at least $40 to $50, you know what I'm saying? Because I want everybody to be compensated, so that's how I ran that type of show there, you know what I'm saying?
But I mean, you were operating and we did a similar thing because to start off, he wanted to pay a lot for the show to start off, and I was like, man, that would be great, but in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, if we have one down show, you're gonna be like, wow, I just lost all this money. Right. I'm like, let's start off at a lower, so we were able to negotiate, and like, I was able to get, hey, a meal and a drink covered, from the bar as part of the thing in there. And
I left my chicken last time I was there too, man.
They actually are Council Bluffs' best chicken. They got it that week.
Yeah,
they had burger last year. Their burger and chicken.
Yeah, I got the chicken the first show. The second show, I think Carmella
told you it
took
was good.
Yeah, you did, and Carmella took my box. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think she took my box.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, because she had 3 boxes with her. I'm like, I know she didn't get 3 boxes of chicken. One for her, one for Dave. I know that third one might have been mine, but I wasn't trying to have them cook again or anything.
Exactly.
Like, I just wanted to let you know.
The cool thing with that bar is the owners want to have good things for their customers, right? Like it's like, hey, he wants comedy, so hey, I'm not saying I pack that thing every single month because we don't. Like we're learning, like, hey, July, people just don't show up in July. They got outdoor stuff to do. Something's going on. So like, hey, we learn as we go. But he's like, I don't care if I lose money on this because I like comedy. But then like, hey, the chicken, they spent $60,000 and 2 weeks of lost business to revamp their kitchen to be able to make chicken right. Like, so you just
It tastes good then after all that.
Oh, it's good. You should definitely go. You should definitely go out and have lunch there, or dinner or whatever. But yeah,
I'm not too fan. I don't like Council Bluffs.
I don't care if you like Council Bluffs or not. Like
But I'll be
Council
over
Bluffs
all
might
the-
not like you.
They probably they don't. Every time I go over there, I get hit over there. It's just crazy. It's just confusing. But I'm over there all the time.
It's confusing. What's confusing about Council Bluffs?
Man, where do I start?
I get over here in Omaha and I just
Where
I
do I
GPS
start?
everything.
I'm not even gonna start. It just says confusing as hell.
I like that. I like that the little spot though, man. So I'm the one here that knows you the least, man. So I'm gonna have to ask you like the stupid questions, right?
All right.
Like how long have you been doing comedy?
Like 8 years, I think.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So you started here in Omaha, or did you start elsewhere?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I was stupid when I started because like everybody knows, hey, you go to an open mic to start. Well, I didn't know that, so someone showed me a flyer for the Funny Bone that was having a Clash of the Comics, and I was like, oh yeah, that's where you go to start. You go on the Clash of the Comics. So my first time was on stage was Clash of the Comics.
That's a stage
It was
jump.
stupid. Yeah, it was bad. It was so bad.
That, and then my wife said, I remember that joke because we was on the Clash stage.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, that was a good joke. He's like, hey, man, I'm trying to watch this video. I was like, who is this guy, man? Like, who is this guy, man? Like, what the? It was like 2013, 2014. So
Yeah,
like,
something
I
like
remember
that. But yeah,
a while back.
that was stupid. And then did it again 3 months later, and then I had to ask Daisy, who is like, she runs 2 of the nights there. She's like second in command there, and she's fantastic. It's like, hey, what do you do to practice? Like, how do you practice comedy? And then
She had to look at you like,
yeah. Then she told me about Barley Street, and which is no longer there. That was so much fun. And then
fun room.
Duffy's in Lincoln, which I don't like Lincoln all that much. So plus it's an hour drive for an open mic.
it's a trick.
They didn't have all these open mics and stuff when I started out. It wasn't none hardly like, bro. It was like the fine tooth comb. So I'm glad that you was able to, them 8 years, they out there everywhere now, you know what I'm saying? You can't now, look on the page and don't see somebody throwing an open mic somewhere, you know what I'm saying?
And it was 8 years back then when I think I probably did a year of open mics before I even got it on a showcase.
Yeah.
And even then, I still probably should have done another year. But it's a cool difference, to see what a show versus an open mic, the feeling, because it's completely different feeling. But man, like nowadays, you got people that do 2 open mics, and they're like, "Oh, I'm
a comic.
I'm a feature. I should be doing 20 minutes."
I need $100 for my 10 minutes I don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. You already know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that stuff is funny, man.
It's real funny.
Especially, like I said, I've been in the game for a long time, so I hear that, I like, dude, sit down. Cut your teeth first, you know what I'm saying?
Got to get in there.
Jesus
Are you
Christ.
looking to expand the Don Seeger brand, right? In Council Bluffs, in Omaha? Are you looking to, like, do you travel? Do you travel frequently? Like, what's comedian Don Seeger's life look like?
Yeah, I mean, I do stuff in Omaha quite often, but like I got a wife and kids that are in school and doing stuff. So, I mean, I have traveled. I've done multiple states. I've done different venues and all that, but most of my stuff is here. I mean, I just picked up another venue this last summer that everything seemed to go pretty well on that one. I think we're going to continue that in. It's a vineyard, so it's got like a cool backdrop. The people there were super supportive, and the owners seemed to like what was going on. Like, we had pretty decent turnouts. I mean, it was new, so it was a lot of word of mouth, but it's all about, it's not about the people they see there all the time, it's about the new faces. So I tell them, like, hey, if you got a table of people you don't recognize, that means something's working. If it's all people you know, then, well, hey, we haven't changed anything. Like, you haven't got any new business in.
So, because like you said, you do a lot of comedy over in Omaha. Is there more comedy opportunities in Omaha than there is Council Bluffs?
No, not really, because after the pandemic, no one wants to run shows anymore, really. Like, there's a lot that happens at the back line and a couple mics that are not the back line, but I don't think there's, I think there's one other show, maybe 2, that happen outside of the back line now. Just the pandemic wiped it all out, and now everyone wants the benefits of being on a show, but they don't want to run their own show.
Right.
It's a little it's a little stressful, but you run it right, you got a good relationship with the owners, it can make it easy.
Man, it can be stressful. Like I ran that one out of Gate 10 for a year, but after a year, it was like, there's just so many politics behind it, man. Sometimes maybe I'll do it again eventually, but it got to be the right timing. It's all about timing for me right now, man. Because
I think you'd have more success in small towns or in the area. That's what Just Relax is doing. They're hitting a bunch of small towns around there, and they're doing very well.
We clean up in Iowa. We be in your part of town cleaning them little towns of like Red Oaks and Glen Woods. We love them. They love us.
That's what people don't realize, right? Like the clubs are a thing, and they have their place in comedy. And yes, you should want to be there, but working comics are in the small towns. They're in, Britt, Iowa, or Red Oak, Iowa, or wherever, Nebraska, Nebraska City doing something, and they're on the road traveling. And so it's
just
never
don't go to Nebraska City. That town sucks. Stay out of Nebraska City.
Better than Council Bluffs?
Oh, I have done comedy in Nebraska City 3 times and never had a good time there. I've had a good.
So why'd you go back 2 more times?
Because it was for a buddy and he was paying me, so I was like, of course I'm gonna go.
Shout out to Plasmid though, that was good. That was cool.
Plasmid would find Nebraska City. It's just, they're backwards
So,
there.
so
I don't know.
who else is that does comedy in Council Bluffs? Though all I know is you. I don't know anybody else.
David
from Council.
Kousgaard does it out. He's Council Bluffs.
He's from Council Bluffs.
Yeah, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I think he might have been Carter Lake, but he lives in Council Bluffs now. Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, because when you think it's Council Bluffs,
I just think of Don.
No, I
Don.
genuinely-
Well, yeah,
That's-
he don't
that's it.
advertise. He's a good-looking guy. He doesn't want to advertise that he's in Council Bluffs. Like, I look like I live in Council Bluffs. So
Now you judge a lot of Clash of the Comics. What do you look for when you judge the Clash of the Comics?
if I'm judging a show,
money? No, I'm just kidding.
no, it's
Pay me off.
I'm talking about like when he actually like looks at people.
Yeah,
on
it,
stage.
it has nothing to do with who's on stage. I mean, there are rules to the Clash, like, hey, you got to be clean. So if you're up there being dirty, you know, hey, you got to account for that.
That's why I never done it.
What?
That's why I never done the Clash.
No, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. Like it's and it's
clean
fine.
is no joke.
And they're a business with this is the model that we're following, and I understand the model. Like it's hard if you have a dirty opener and then someone else comes up and they're trying to be clean. It's real hard to follow that act. It took me a couple of years to understand that, but now hey, I got that down. But yeah, if you're judging it, it's about laughs. Like it doesn't matter what you're saying. If the crowd's laughing, that's number one.
Right.
So it could be something I've seen fail in an open mic setting 100 times, but they go up at a
hits,
Clash and it's just hitting. The crowd's enjoying it. Like I can't go, oh, I know this is garbage because I've seen it fail. Like, hey, it's working.
Right.
So hey, you're getting points for that. If you're energetic and engaging the crowd, like that's huge because that's a big part of opening. You got to get the crowd to shut up, sit down, listen to you. It's a lot of people can't do that. They just get up there and they just start going through their routine. They haven't got anyone calm down. They haven't got thank them for being here, all that. Get them to focus in. You just can't just start off like, hey, buttholes, and then
right.
people are freaking out, not knowing what's going on. So
There's definitely a science to it, man.
Well, that's the thing. Like I like about the Funny Bones competition, right? Like the fact that they make everybody do a clean set is an even slate for everybody, right?
Right.
For that exact reason, because doing it at DC Improv or like Magooby's out there in Baltimore and DC, anybody can do anything.
Right.
And it's very hard to rate anybody in a competition when it's exactly, you get somebody that kills it with dirty material and somebody who has really, really funny, clean material, but it's just not that right crowd.
Right.
It's an even slate for everybody. I really like that.
yeah, it makes sense. And again, the best part about it is it's their place. They make the rules. Follow the rules. Don't follow the rules. And once you actually get in the door and you're doing hosting stuff, like those rules slack back a little bit.
Yeah, of
like
course.
and it also depends on the headliner. If the headliner don't care, you can go up there and say whatever you want. Like, but they won't care if you say ass or anything like that. They're not going to be like, oh, you're dinged for that. You're already up hosting. You know what I mean?
Ooh, the A
Let me ask you a
word.
question. Is there any demographic of crowd that you have a trouble like doing
Now,
in front of?
no.
No.
No, but I mean, first going up, like Trenton was gonna bring up.
I already know the story.
Yeah, everyone you don't know the story.
I don't know the story.
but,
I want the story.
all right, so
Give me the juice.
This was 2018, so a few years
about 4
back,
years, 5 years
5
ago,
years
okay.
back or so, and I got put on an all-black show. I was the only white dude. It was gonna be an all-black crowd. I was like, hell yeah! Like I was excited about it. They were bringing in someone from Chicago. That I guess was a big. His name was Mojo Brooks. I ain't never gonna forget his name.
Of course. Mojo Brooks. I worked with Mojo.
Yeah, I won't anymore. But they had set it up. The guy who had set it up, he's like, they had a big venue. They were like, oh, we're gonna have hundreds of people here. It's gonna be great. And I was excited. I wasn't nervous. I was excited because, like, people don't know. Like, hey, if it's a white crowd, they'll politely laugh, even if your shit ain't funny. If it's a mixed crowd, kind of the same. If all black crowd, if it ain't funny, they ain't gonna laugh.
Ain't left.
You get
They're gonna
zero,
tell you, yeah.
zero.
They're gonna
leeway.
tell you, and if your energy ain't right, if
Your
you're
hair girl, they're gonna talk about your mama. They're gonna tell you sit your
exactly
down,
your
you're gonna
energy
do all
ain't
that.
right.
Yeah.
Like you could have funny material, your energy ain't right, it ain't gonna work. So I was excited about it. It was supposed to be me, Carmela, and Carlos Tibbs. We were gonna be the openers. Yeah, man, I miss Carlos so much.
sir.
R.I.P., man. For real.
And this story is one of the reasons why I miss him so much. But so it was supposed to be us three opening. He brought a feature and then him headlining, right? All right, we get there. I got there early because I like to go and make sure that I buy stuff at the bar, get food, drink, whatever, support the venue. I get there and there's like 8 people like in there, and that's it. And I'm like, man, we're 30 minutes from the show. Like, I've heard of CPT, but this is getting a little bit like come on, we got to get some people in here.
We understand how that works, but yeah.
Right. So
Comic people time for
exactly.
Comic people time.
So I get there and I get some food. I meet the guy who's putting it on. Mojo's there. He don't shake my hand. He don't say nothing. I was like, hey man, nice to meet you. And he didn't even. Yeah, he didn't look up at me, nothing, whatever. I don't care. I go over, sit down. Everybody else shows up, but no people show up, like nothing. Then they're setting up the speaker. Like they brought their own sound system, and it was this speaker this big. For this huge venue, it looked like they got it at like a Goodwill on the way there or something like that.
The pine shop and got one.
Oh man, this thing was cracking, popping. They couldn't get it going. Then they come and tell us, hey, we're changing the lineup. And I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm not on the show no more. Like, you know.
Equal opportunity section is booted.
But the guy who was supposed to feature is now going to host. And he's going to do a quick 5 instead of his 20 that he was going to be doing. Because we all had 5 minutes is what we were supposed to be doing. And then, hey, I was first, then Carmelo, then Carlos. And I'm like, all right, whatever, cool. I didn't want to have to warm people up. Perfect. This guy does not 5 minutes of comedy. I don't even know what his name was. He was doing like a mic check for 5 minutes because they couldn't get the thing to work. And then he just brings me up. And without ever talking to this guy, anything, he brings me up as Don the Black Terrorist.
I heard about that.
That's the thing that people don't really like. So I actually came up in majority black rooms when I started in DC.
Right.
It was majority black rooms, and that's the thing is when you go to a black room, you get the most insane introductions. Like I've gotten the blackest man you ever know. Like I've gotten the next Malcolm X. I've gotten what you fill in the blank of some stuff that's really just gonna cause you to be like, wait a minute. And then it sets their expectation, right? You're like, oh, God.
Well, I wasn't ready for that.
Brian came in with the bald head, and they're like, oh, skinhead.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Hey, that would have been better if they brought me up as that. I think. That I might have been able to work with a little bit. But they, part of it was when I walked in and tried to introduce myself, and then I went and sat down, I guess the promoter, like Mojo said something, and he was like, oh, no, that's white chocolate, because that's what Carmella calls me. All in group chats in person calls me white chocolate. So they just took it and ran with it. So I wasn't ready for that, and I ate shit for 4 minutes. 4 solid minutes. I knew my last joke was going to be good for anybody. Like, it didn't matter. Like, I knew my last joke was going to be fine, and it was for the 8 people in attendance. I got a laugh from them, so I'm like, all right, I saved a little bit of it. Carmella went up, and even Carmella had trouble because it was so small. And then Carlos went up, and thank God for Carlos. Like, he was one of the best. Like
I used to call him the people's champ.
Yeah, he was. He was great. He's the reason why I started doing crowd work, because he went up and he told him to turn the lights on because they had all the lights dimmed out. He goes, "There's 8 of us. Turn the lights on." Like, and he was just crowd working it, and then he chewed out the host for the way he treated me, because he was like, he's my friend. Good. I wanted him on this show because I know, and he chewed him out, chewed the headliner out. Cursed out the audience, and then got off stage. Like, it was.
That's the beauty.
Gotta love Carlos.
Yeah, and I love it, and that's the reason why I started doing crowd work, because I didn't want to ever have that feeling again of like, oh my, because I was walking the stage going, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, how do I recover? And
now you found a way to recover.
Now I invite that crap. Yeah. I tell people if I'm on, like, make something up about me.
Yeah.
Like, say whatever you want. Let's see where it goes.
I don't care about this. All right, man. Why don't you tell everybody about your socials, what you got going on, where we can follow you to see the Don Seeger
You
experience?
can't. Just find me somewhere. Figure it out. Like, people are just used to people giving them all this stuff. Like, figure it out. You have my name. You should be able to track me down somehow. That's all. Agreed. That's all I'm giving.
So I got a question there.
And I got my show.
I know we got 1 minute left.
All right.
Who's the next person you're gonna call out? I know you called out Zilla years back, with the showcase open mic. You like calling people out? Or
no,
are you trying to help people?
Tried to call me out.
Oh goodness.
Oh no.
I just had to ask this last week.
We don't have enough time for that.
All that we did was ask a simple question that you kept dodging, and then you blocked me. So of course I'm gonna call you out.
We'll talk about it after the show. I don't.
No. Talk about it on the show.
I don't dodge. And
I should have
block
asked 5 minutes ago. I
anybody.
should have asked 5 minutes
I
ago.
don't dodge anybody, bro.
Oh
That's
man,
what dodging means.
You say you did? So did you block him?
Yeah, because I know me. I had to.
See?
Okay.
Because it was getting volatile, and you know,
thank
me
you,
and Don
Lansky's,
go
for
a long way.
everything.
And
We ain't afraid of each
Don,
other, that's the problem.
That's cool. But the thing of it is, I know me, Don don't know me all the way. So for me personally, when I get in a space where can't deal with you no more, it's best that I distance myself from people.
Okay. Well, I don't want to turn this into food and madness because this is food and laughter.
We don't need no food fights.
Yeah, we about to end
Oh,
up.
I picked up the plate for self-defense. Y'all see that?
I did see that. You had that
no,
fork
this-
like this. I was
Actually,
going to hand you the knife.
This was
but-
cool though, man, because I haven't talked to Don in 2 years. It was therapeutic. I really didn't know how I was gonna perceive it, but it's cool, man. That's water under the bridge because you know what? Nothing's ever stopped me from progressing for what I'm doing. He didn't stop my show. No one stopped my show. I'll keep progressing,
that's it. No.
and I keep elevating. So,
just-
with that being said, this is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
We already shook hands out there.
All right.
We're doing it on
it's on
camera
camera.
now.
Oh,
That's on camera.
Cause ain't nobody gonna believe that shit.
All right.
No.
Well, Don, we appreciate you coming
Thank
out.
you.
We
Yeah, thanks for
appreciate
having
you
me.
eating.
Thank you.
Appreciate the subject. Thanks for answering that last question. Thanks for your introduction. I hope you don't never get introduced as that when you do another comedy show.
No, I welcome it now. Let them do it. Let them do it and find out.
All right, man.
yeah.
Hey, well, we appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. I'm Trent Lavelle Wainwright, George Zilla, Terrence G, our guest Don Seeger, and this was Food and Laughter. Y'all have a great night.
Yeah.